Just a kind, we're so effing dope. No matter where we go, I know we're gonna make it. No matter where we go, I know we're not alone. We face it all cause now we know that we can take it. We face it all cause we go big or we go home. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. This is paradise. This is paradise. Yo! Don't be afraid to let go, just a little bit more. Taking the heavenly glow, we've come to adore. No matter where we go, I know we're gonna make it. No matter where we go, I know we're not alone. We face it all cause now we know that we can take it. We face it all cause we go big or we go home. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. Dance like you made it, you found it all. This is paradise. This is paradise. This is paradise.
Beautiful. All right, we'll wait for a few more people to join, but we got a lot to get through today, so we probably won't hang around for too long.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey.
You in the airport or you at your final destination? All right, I think just in the interest of time, we can probably get cracking, to be honest, just because there is a hell of a lot to get through, and I don't want us to start being tight on that. So, without much further ado, I think this is what the fourth testnet committee meeting. So, thank you everyone for coming, and as usual, we'll kick off with a little sort of reintroduction of what our mission is. So, without much further ado. You are Voy. You are making blockchain work for everyone. And it is you that are delivering on the promise of Web3. We, the foundation, are just the catalyst. This is your chain and you own it. So I don't know if it's as much vim and vigor as when Chris does it, but there we go. I hope you guys appreciate that at the end of the day, this is your network and we're really here to just help you. So let's get cracking on then. So first up, just a few updates really just on what's been happening in the last couple of weeks. And then we're pretty much going to dive straight into some of the due diligence presentations because I think there's about 6. So first up, really great to see that the community has been growing. I think hopefully or mainly down to the fact that the Node rewards have come out. And I think there's been a bit of a buzz about that. So really great to see that happening. I think I was looking at the stats, and there's potentially about another 50 nodes waiting to go online. They just need to vote. So we're hoping that they'll come online soon if they top up their accounts using the faucet, essentially. But beyond that, really want to give quite a few shout outs actually to some of the players in the ecosystem that have been going above and beyond. So first up, Zarmian, of course, we've already given him a few different shout outs, but we thought we'd do it again. You know, he's really kind of hit it out the park with this theoretical Void rewards calculator. I think as time goes on, this website's only going to get more and more busy as well as people are anticipating what they're going to get for the week. The next up, Bo, I'm not even going to attempt to try and say the full name, but you'll probably recognize his Void node metrics and his new relay map, which has been really, really cool. I think that's, I mean, it looks great, and it's really, really useful for the community as well to be able to sort of see more historical data. So really, really, really happy with what's been going on over there. Of course, he's also a relay runner, which is always great. Jongzo, or Jongons even, keeps smashing out summaries of, I'm sure he'll even produce one for this meeting right here. So really great to see him keeping that up, basically, because, you know, not everyone has time to sit down and watch a whole 2-hour meeting. So it's great to get these text-based summaries, which even I give a read actually as well, because there might be things that might have been missed. Easy Tiger's been really, really helpful getting the faucet done. He's pretty much within a matter of hours updated the faucet to support the new community members. TD, of course, going through and doing all the Discord updates. That's gone really well. Really excited to see them come out, and it seems a lot more coherent and easier to navigate now, which I'm really excited about. Scotty, of course, as you guys all well and know, doing all the governance admin. So really, really happy with what he's been doing there, and it's been a lot smoother, I would say, just in terms of keeping things up to date and consistent. So really happy about that. Ludo, of course, for doing the A wallet. You know, I think that's a very critical piece of the Void puzzle right now. We will, of course, look to get other wallets out there, but really, really happy that Ludo's been supporting us with his wallet, essentially. And of course, I know there's only a few people, but there's so many more that are active in the community, whether that's just helping people out with questions or pushing things forward. And we really just want to say, as you know, as the whole foundation, thanks to everyone that's helping to get this going. And yeah, that's kind of the shout outs, to be honest. So another thing that want to run through is obviously, as you guys are probably more than aware, the first Node Runner airdrops went out, which is great to see. We've probably increased the number of relays in the past 2 weeks by a considerable amount. Wilder especially is stepping up to the plate, and I think he actually has as many relays as I do, which is really, really cool to see. Gov and Chris as well were making waves in the Womp Poker, which I'm sure a couple of you guys attended. I think it was probably about, I think Gov put in 15K, Chris put in 5, I put in, 5K, I put in 5K as well. So considerable prize pots, and ultimately at least 5 new voyages onboarded, really. And again, as we kind of keep saying and reiterating, you know, our tokens we're not keeping at the end. So if you think there's someone that deserves them, or if you think you deserve them, then yeah, just please feel free to reach out and just give us a nudge if you think there's somewhere that those tokens can be deployed to have some kind of meaningful benefit to the ecosystem. But yeah, that's the updates. Just really want to keep it short and sweet, and just hand you over to Shanti, who's going to run through the proposals and the bounties.
Yeah, welcome everyone. Just to check, Benny, we're recording, right?
Yes, I think Cody is already got that all good to go.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So we have a number of due diligence presentations today, and so we're just going to get started. We have, first off, is Coop, who is going to be redoing kind of the DD presentation for the testnet council incentives. Up next will be Lobo and Andrew, who will be doing a presentation on the EXA market proposal, followed by Prim and Shelley for Block Explorer IRL for the smart poker integration, and then Wilder for streamlined allocation of testnet Void for developers. And then to conclude, Wilder and IRL are doing a presentation on the market Void incentives proposal. If you can try to keep your presentations around the 10-minute mark, because we have so many to go through, that would be appreciated, but I'll help to manage the time. So let's see, Cooper, you can get started since Keely is not here.
Okay, yeah. Hey, everybody, how's it going? What's going on? Let me see. So I press present now. Is that what I'm going to do here? And then I'm going to go here to the latest one. This is the V2. Let's share it. Can you guys see that? Are we here? Yeah, that's cool. All right. Cool. So I'm going to do this as fast as possible. We've already talked about this, and my partner, I forget his name. His name is like Resilient or something, but whatever. Okay, so here we go. So one of the main issues that we have, we're trying to address is actually incentivizing work, right? That's what the council member incentives is trying to do. And there's been some concern about maybe the just showing up is incentivized too much. There's some struggle with getting people to do all of the evaluations in a timely manner. I think that we're going to be addressing later in the meeting about possibly doing these meetings half the time, once a week instead of every other week, but that's not for right now. Okay, so the token amount stays the same. So I'll just fly through this. The proposal is designed to incentivize active and consistent and long-term participation of Voice Testnet Committee that should last about 3 to 6 months. The problem, currently most blockchains have an endowment where a minority of stakeholders, such as early investors, employees, and builders, hold a vast majority of the network value. This is antithetical to the ethos of decentralization. Okay, we know all this stuff. So here we go, some of the new stuff from the last time. Our solution is to incentivize members to consistently attend council meetings, participate during and outside of meetings, actively volunteer to engage in more substantial council member tasks, such as completing due diligence reviews for proposals that reach this stage, actively volunteer to propose and create solutions for problems they see within the council as it relates to areas like general functioning of the council, process improvement during and outside of meetings, communications, overall council engagement, etc. All right, here's the new proposal. So we propose the following breakdown for rewarding council members. Just want to make sure that wasn't me telling me weekly versus bi-weekly or bi-weekly. Okay, there's a discussion. Okay, so we're good. Sorry, let me go back to what I was doing. All right, okay. So are you guys still seeing me? Sorry. Yeah, you are. Awesome. I'm doing great. It's like my show. I'm just all over the place. Okay, so 500,000 Void Testnet tokens to be granted to individuals that attend each bi-monthly Void committee meeting, or 250,000 Void Testnet tokens to be granted for each weekly meeting if we move to a weekly meeting cadence. Attending a meeting in its entirety is essential for getting this reward. We had also talked in our call with me, and I'm going to call him Richard, and Shanti and Ben about possible, like there could be good reasons why you can't make it to a meeting. And if it's all communicated early, I don't know if this is in there, but I think that it should be communicated that if somebody has a great reason for not being able to make the meeting, but they are active outside of it, I don't see why they should be punished, but we'll read on. 50,000 Void Testnet tokens to be given for every completed evaluation form that is submitted on time. Now, there was a discussion whether, what the point of this is, and having these like fixed amounts is to kind of keep the bloat and the extra work. So it's just like, look, you give an evaluation form, that those are worth 50,000 each. So people are probably going to be incentivized to do these because they're not going to want to lose 50, get slashed essentially. And then 700,000, which is different, Void Testnet tokens to be given for each individual conducting due diligence and for successfully presenting findings to the council on the designated presentation date. Now, this has been evolving over the past couple of days, but we should also address the fact that this says to each individual, but is this going to be split if people are sharing the, if people are going to be sharing it? So that maybe Shanti, you can chime in on that afterwards. And then in cases where due diligence of a proposal may be particularly intensive, the reviewer can make a case on Discord and the Gov discussion channel to request for additional Void Testnet tokens through a poll on Discord and simple majority vote with 50% participation quorum. Additional tokens can be given for more complicated proposals. The quantity of additional tokens requested should be proposed by the reviewer. These funds will be taken from a pool for 10 million tokens allocated for additional incentivization and the completion of supportive tasks by members of the council that contribute to the general operations of the committee, optimization of the proposal process, and support the council in achieving its goals. The pool of testnet tokens will be distributed commensurate with the time and effort of the task, which will be determined also by a voting process on Discord. Okay. If a council member believes they have a project activity that would provide a valuable contribution to Voice Testnet or the council, they should propose this activity in the Gov discussion channel, propose a testnet token allocation to go against this activity, and set up a poll to ascertain whether a majority of the council believes this activity worthy of said testnet tokens. To pass, there will be a simple majority vote. Okay. Expected impact. Okay, we got this. We're there to activate and engage and create a passionate testnet governance council. Success will also be determined by the attrition rate of council members over time and the number of cases where council members need to vote a member off the council due to negligence or poor participation. The concerns are it's feasible that individuals will only partake in this to get their tokens. So that's the idea of just incentivizing each individual action. And I think we kind of settled on in the last meeting that if the 126 million tokens were to get depleted, then we would just do a new proposal. I kind of went quickly through that, but does anybody have any questions? Shanti, is there anything that you'd like to say?
So I'll just summarize what. So in summary, this new proposal basically has participating members getting 500K for each bi-monthly meeting, or if we do move to a weekly meeting, it would be 250K VOI tokens for each weekly meeting. So that's 1 million per month. On the evaluation side, we have 50K for completing each evaluation. So that is both for the first round evaluation and the second round evaluation for a proposal. And so, you know, in the past few weeks, we've had anywhere from like 4 to 5, if not more, evaluations that are present. And so that equals, you know, about 500K per month in VOI tokens if everyone is completing every single evaluation. And then say you do DD for on average once a month basis, that's 700K VOI tokens for doing DD. And I think one of the questions here was, that was not like explicitly stated, is yes, we would split, the proposal is to split that 700K. So I can put that in the proposal. And I think there was another question that wasn't clear. Oh yeah, the other thing was like, okay, so yes, life events happen, and if you notify in advance, we basically mark that down in the attendance. You will not get the VOI tokens for meeting attendance for that meeting. However, we do mark this because it shows that you are still, you know, being cognizant of like your responsibilities as part of a council member. I think so. Yeah. Okay. Bill has a question.
Yeah, one question I have, and I know that with it being split, not knowing how many evaluations are going to be occurring, things like that. But one thing that I was curious, is there just a ballpark estimate of a dutiful council member who attends meetings, is doing evaluations? Is there like a back of the envelope expectation as to what a good council member would reasonably expect to get in the form of total testnet rewards during the phase?
So I've outlined here just in the chat what it would be like maybe for a 1 month to 1.5 month period, but this obviously depends like how long testnet goes until, but so you can kind of do the math for if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But this is kind of what we were trying to get at. So you would get 2 million. The average would be like at least 2 million for a 1 month period if you're being active. So that means doing all of the proposal evaluations, attending each meeting, participating at least once a month in a due diligence of a proposal. One would expect to get like at least 2 million tokens on a monthly basis.
Okay, so we're talking 3 to 6 month process. Somebody really puts their back into it. It's ballpark 6 to 12 million tokens is what they could reasonably expect if they're participating
Mhm.
in each. Okay, thank you.
There any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next presentation, I think, right, Benny? And then we will circulate a second evaluation form. All the second evaluation forms will be circulated by the end of the day today. Okay, so next, if there's no questions for Coop or myself, let's move on to Lobo and Andrew.
Okay, hello. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it. We'll try and keep this short and sweet as possible. So we did our due diligence on the XM Marketplace proposal. This was for 200 million testnet tokens, and it included their marketplace as well as their P2P swap feature. Quick summary on the proposal. So the problem is that there is not enough NFT marketplaces and asset exchanges on Voy. Solution deploy XM Marketplace and XM Swap. The qualifications, I'm sure you guys are all aware of XM Marketplace, and if you're not, they have a successful marketplace on Algorand currently. Lobo, I'm going to pass it to you for the due diligence.
Yes, I will start with the due diligence. So the positive and negative comments. So in general, governors like the XM brand and would like to see it on Voy. Then there were some negative comments about the high proposal size, like the 200 million, that the minimum requirements are not met for the NFT market bounty. In particular, like ARC72 and ARC200 support was mentioned. They have no plan at the moment to open source. The time frame is too long to affect the testnet really, because it was like Q2 2024. And the success and longevity part of the proposal was not detailed enough. And we had one question by a committee member, so I would like to address it. So like the fees for the market and the swap, and it would be like the same like on Algorand, so 2% for the market and 0% for the swap.
Yeah, and then I'll take some for the additional insights and responses from the proposer, excuse me. So when we discussed ARC72, they said there would be no immediate support, as the whole protocol would have to go through an audit and be rebuilt, which for them is just too much time and money. They wanted to kind of clarify that they are not applying for the existing NFT marketplace bounty. So when it came to sort of some of the requirements and maybe even the token size initially, that was kind of their response of why it differed. Open sourcing, as mentioned, it's not planned right now. It doesn't fit with their business strategy. Maybe in the future they would be open to it, but currently with just the market conditions, they feel that they want to keep a competitive edge. And then in terms of longevity and success, it's hard to give it an exact runway. Again, it's the competitive nature of the market. Some people don't want to show their cards necessarily in runway. So they did not want to disclose exactly what the time frame would be for, a token launch or the DAO transition to try to keep that competitive edge. And then lastly, so they were open to breaking up the proposal between the marketplace and the swap. The proposal will be changed to focus on XS Swap for now, and then they'll revisit the marketplace idea when mainnet hits and they can see the adoption of ARC72, and if that's more clear.
Exactly. Some another spotlight. So some benefits would be like the XM brand is liked. And it would be great to have some product from them on testnet, and which could encourage them to add more product down the road. And XS Swap would make it easy to do peer-to-peer trades of all ASAs. So it could be used for things like Voy VIA swaps, or like in general, when we hit a token challenge, people could swap this way. And challenges can't support ARC72 right now, which will be the main NFT spec used in the NFT phase. So it's essentially not really helping the NFT phase. And there's no plan to open source, which goes kind of against voice values, but could make sense from a business perspective in this case. Some general things like idea to be sustainable and profitable, like fees on marketplace, and they want to launch a token sometime. Haven't talked about marketing. And there was a question by the proposer. So maybe like a concern about which wallets would be used on Voi at the moment, because they feel like without a user-friendly wallet, it's hard to gain mainstream adoption. And then we talked in general about what wallet options we have at the moment, like A-Wallet and AlgoSigner, and that we hope that something like DeFi or Pema will adopt Voi as well.
Okay, and then moving on to our recommendation and endorsement. So reflecting back, the proposal, the transition to Access Swap, I think is a good idea, separating them between the swap and the marketplace. We do still share some concerns, both me and Lobo, around the ARC72 not being integrated. It's kind of hard to determine how this will affect things, but we won't really be able to use use it in the NFT phase of testnet, which I think is important. We did come to kind of like an agreement that we thought 25 million testnet tokens would be appropriate for the original EXA swap feature that they laid out in the proposal. So again, this wouldn't include ARC72, but this would get EXA involved in Voi. So in terms of endorsement, both me and Lobo decided to support this proposal. Again, as mentioned, it kind of gets EXA in the door, and it gets a known brand on Voi, which we think is important early on. EXA Swap could still be used for some things like P2P, Voi to VIA assets, or in general P2P swaps during the token challenge. Additionally, this could encourage EXA to consider more deployments in the future, as I kind of mentioned, in particular after ARC72 has been implemented, and they can see the results of adoption around that. So that is our due diligence. Lobo, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, if there was any questions. But yeah.
Just to mention it, so has the proposal been updated? Not yet. They want to do it by next week, they told us.
IRL?
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, so it hasn't been updated, so we are not going to be getting the evaluation on this then today, I would imagine. Right? I mean,
that'd be my assumption. I think we would probably all want to see it in writing before we actually evaluate it. I don't want to speak for the foundation, but I think that's probably the best course of action.
I would not be in favor of getting a vote on this until we see the finalized proposal. That's my only comment.
Yeah, I think in general,
not done, then we can't vote on it.
Yeah, exactly. I think there'll probably be there'll probably be a bit of a lag between the DD presentation and the evaluations anyway.
Thurs?
Hey, so I was going to say what IRL said, needing to see the revised proposal in its entirety. First reactions, first impressions, it's a little bit square peg, round hole. I'm not sure if that's anything you would want to convey back, but that's kind of just the vibe. So thanks.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on that too, we did talk with him because obviously I think one of the main focuses that we want is that ARC72, and we definitely noted that it kind of differed from at least at first what I thought was the original NFT marketplace proposal, which again Ted did mention that this is a separate proposal from that, so he kind of drafted his own criteria. And I think that it's definitely something to note when you guys do want to go vote. Is this something that we need right now, or is it not? Again, from just my perspective, where I was coming from, I thought the brand had value and it kind of got them in the door. But does that warrant giving testnet tokens for? Obviously I endorsed it, so I would say yes. But I can understand where people would come from. I'm definitely kind of on the fence on it personally. But yeah.
Yeah, IRL, this is definitely something we have to iron out. Like, do we make changes to the proposal before the actual DD presentation? So we can figure that out. But yeah, Jay.
I think that it's a lot to ask to. Okay, let me step back 1 second. So we get a proposal and we have a bunch of comments, and when we're doing the evaluation forms, and then the DD people go talk to them. I think that we are discovering that it is useful for the DD to do work, present to us have some comments, and then I think at that point we get a final version of the proposal. And I don't think that final version of the proposal should have another round of DD. I think that we should evaluate the final version individually and then vote on that. And I think that is like the right way that we should just think about always doing this. There's just always an expectation that there will be a revision, and then we'll vote on it. And I think that that'll, like, it's not a bad thing to have a revision. I don't want people to get the impression that we're asking you to do a revision. That means there's something wrong with your proposal. It's like horrible. It's just like, this is the way it should be done.
Just to push back on why I think that I would prefer to have a finalized proposal when it's presented is because at this point, the reviewer has already gone over all the comments. People have had their chance for community review. I don't want to come back to it again. Do the due diligence, because like, what's the point of doing a due diligence on something if it's not the final proposal, in my opinion? Like that, to me, ironing out what that final proposal will be is critical for the person being able to present adequate and accurate due diligence. So that's kind of my take on it, and how I handled it. I'm presenting two today, where they are final proposals, which we've ironed out the details on and are ready to present to the council for a final vote. So I feel like maybe we need to just define exactly what these processes are more, because it feels like I'm gonna have to go through and review it again once to see if what was presented is actually included in the proposal once it's done, and we're like adding even more time onto an already 4-week process at that point. Is kind of my initial thoughts on that.
I'd like to respond briefly to IRL. So I feel that I agree with you, and I feel like there's two kinds of revisions that we might be talking about. So I've seen proposals where I feel like they started completely missing information that I think should have been included in the first place. And I feel like with that, I just want to return them to them and say, finish this before you even look at it. But then on the other hand, I feel like if we don't allow any revision after the DD process, then it doesn't allow the council to give quick results that say, we like this except A, B, and C. Please change this number to that. Please open source it. If you open source it, we will fund it. If you support ARC-72, we will fund it. And I feel like that's what I'm talking about. I feel like there's going to be comments from the council that say, here are some small things that need to be updated. If you updated them, we will be happy. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's definitely what I consider the first evaluation to be. Like in my comments, I don't know if you've reviewed any of my comments, but like that's what I've said is like, I'd like to see this or this before. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment there.
Okay, Prim.
I would just like to echo Jay's point about like, yeah, there's going to be some stuff missing, but like oftentimes the DD process is sort of like an opportunity to like let the proposer know that. And going through like my first like DD, especially with like B13, like he obviously thinks of everything, but he writes so briefly that it's almost not apparent. So when Shelly and I put 22 questions in front of him yesterday. Within 3 hours, we had like ruthlessly efficient answers with like links and like detailed like comments and stuff. And we were just like, oh, like we have more than everything we need, you know? So it was just one of those things like, you know, we didn't know that until we actually spoke to him. But since then, like, you know, I feel like we have a very complete like due diligence doc, and to some extent, like it sort of, you look at it and you're like, oh, like, you know, in a way, like we're not rewriting the proposal, but like it bounces off it a lot. And so like, it's sort of this like working process. Although I would agree that like certain proposals, like they do have to be like in a certain sort of like condition, you know, before you can really get to that point, like minimal condition. But I think that's going to be different for everybody anyway. So like, I don't know, I like what Jay said about like just this sort of like working process, because until you like sort of fill in the gaps and figure out like what the exceptions are, like you don't quite realize like what, you know, somebody hasn't thought of. And like we'll get to like mine and Shelley's presentation too, but like there's a couple of spots where we recommend like, yo, like we'll move this forward, but like, by the way, like just if we can get X, Y, and Z, that would be great, you know. But like we wouldn't vote to like not endorse it, just like hang up on these couple things. So that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. We can discuss this further towards the end of the meeting during the council discussion section, and maybe also take a vote after, but I want to move on to the next presentation, which is URS Prim, actually.
I'm looking for a share. Oh, here we go. No, please don't make me remove my privacy settings. Hold on. I don't know how to give myself access to this thing. Oh, here we go. I don't know how to share right now. It's not letting me.
Let me see. I think I can share.
Actually, if you could just share like the DD like doc, and
Yeah,
I could just like, I have like a separate presentation doc that like would be nice to like have on the screen, but it's just like, it's a 1-page Word document that just tells me what to say on. Yeah.
Okay.
I've apparently never shared from Google Hangout before, or Google, whatever the hell this is called, Google Meet. I think I'm a Zoom person, so like my security settings aren't there. Okay, so basically we came up with like sort of 3 main concerns that sort of came up like through the community's notes on it. By the way, thank you to Shelley, who put together a sort of running list of everybody's concerns, which I guess he found in Discord, because I was never going to dig through Discord for it, but I was happy to do the rest. So the first major thing would be milestones. D13 kind of danced around sort of like milestones as to like, I guess like completion checkpoints like in the project. And so like we just sort of highlighted that, like probably could have addressed milestones a little bit more clearly. But we just sort of recommend potentially submitting a schedule with just some dates for reasonable checkpoints. And we recommend that on page 4. D13 also mentions in question 15 that he has already started. That's for our due diligence. And some of this is like what we realize in doing this is that like for some people, it's a little bit different in how you, I guess, like go through the process. And so what we ended up doing, we put a lot of questions in front of D13 like yesterday morning, and he basically answered all of them in sort of a very detailed fashion. And so we included it sort of at the end, almost like an appendix. And so in question 15, he also mentions that he already started. Another concern, I guess, for us was the actual costs. He's not entirely clear on what the costs are, but he does do a good job of explaining a lot of the cost considerations throughout the document, particularly in the section labeled Analyst Summary of Additional Insights from the Proposer, and in his answer to question 4. Another concern was the differential costs, specifically the differential cost between creating the Explorer for just Voy or create, or making it sort of compatible with Voy and Algorand. D13 explains his own thoughts on this in his answer to question 3. And just to quote him, he says, supporting them comes with zero cost and significant benefit for Voy's reputation and perception from the subset of the Algorand community that's currently skeptical of Voy. I completely agree with this. And just to add, I think it's not only a non-issue, but if anything, it's a strength and something Algorand needs anyway. I haven't used Algo Explorer since I found out they were associated with the same company that made my Algo. And then Algo Scan was like sunset. And so like Algorand kind of needs like a good block explorer because Dapflow is, as Shelly puts it, a little too devy. And so it's a good idea to like give at least one Voy project like an actual moat. Like it's a good opportunity for that. And Explorer is like a really good project for that because like it's basically a foundational piece of like any like well-functioning like blockchain. So we think it's actually like a really good opportunity. And so like not only like I guess D13 is basically explained that the cost is like with like porting into Algorand 2 is like pretty immaterial, but like even if it weren't, like I think we'd probably go ahead and want to do it because we think it's a really good opportunity to like sort of just sort of build a moat for at least one Voy project, especially a foundational one. The main thing I guess that like we sort of think is kind of difficult to explain is like the profitability and marketing. And so when I was going through this, it kind of hit me. I'm like, how do you even like profit or market off of just like an Explorer, which is basically just this website that just has all this data, right? And so I get to D13's explanation of it, and he basically said the same thing. It's like, look, it's just like I didn't give much thought to this because it's given the nature of an Explorer, it's just sort of a public service. And so we kind of put together a couple of like very basic suggestions about like the marketing section. And one of mine was essentially to highlight the differences between his Explorer and current Algorand solutions, specifically the inclusion of a transaction effects API, a multi-sig support at the transactional level, and a focus on UI. The focus on UI, like I love this because he mentioned in his proposal that he like thinks that like anything that like people regularly copy should have a copy button. And coming from like my current days in like the ETH shitcoin world, where like it's really nice to have a contract address copy button handy like anywhere you can get it. Like I totally get it. And so I asked him like, what do you have a list? I think this was like one of my last questions in like 21 or 22. And he had a list like handy and ready to go. It's like all in there in the back. Like there's probably like 10 to 15 like things. You just like, yep, this should have a copy button. Sometimes this does have a copy button, but depending on how it's presented, whether it's a link or not, like it doesn't always work right. Like he completely thought it all through. So that was nice to see. And then I guess I'll just like get to our sort of recommendations, which are pretty simple. One, a budget of actual costs for operating and maintaining an Explorer. He dances around sometimes like what that's like not that expensive, and so like not really to worry about it, but it would be like a good idea to get a rough estimate of like the numbers that go into it. Two, like a budget of token allocation. There was the sort of, he mentions this, the original sort of proposal had like all these goals, and he split a few out and said like these are kind of stretch goals, and I would allocate he would allocate 15 million of the 125 to those stretch goals. So I know he's given like the implication there is that he's given like some thought to like what costs what, like how to functionally allocate it properly, but we didn't get like any sort of schedule or breakout of that. And so if that's something that like the committee would want, this particularly with respect to justifying the total allotment of coins, like that's something that we would potentially recommend getting a handle on as well. And then like I mentioned up top, like just a brief schedule of milestones would be like good to have, although we're pretty sure he's already started. He kind of mentioned that in his answer to question 15. So if anybody has any questions, myself or Shelly could probably answer them.
I'm assuming no questions.
Hey guys, just a quick question. I don't know if it was covered before, but about hosting.
Yeah.
For the indexer, Jay made a very good point, which is essentially like if this is eventually going to go into both chains, Voy and Algo, that does mean that there's going to be a substantial cost for operating on the Algo side of things, and there will be a creeping up one on the Voy side of things as the chain grows in size. Is D13, was that mentioned as something that's going to like go into a cloud service provider, or is it going to go into like bare metal, or like what's that situation going to look like?
D13 just responded in the chat, but he also mentions, like, and this is covered in the doc, that he mentions that a lot of the ability to keep the costs low, I guess, is the use of a vanilla indexer and building around it, as opposed to like relying on custom data pipelines. I'm saying a bunch of stuff that devs understand better than me. I have no idea whether any of that is actually correct, but that was sort of the general idea that I got from that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So then
He also, D13 also raised his hand, so he's probably about to just like school everybody if you guys just want to let him talk.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just not sure if it's like kosher, so to speak, to answer questions, as I'm both a committee member and like proposer in this case. But yeah, anyway. So to the issue about costs, something that I'm noting in the document is that first of all, I'm not going to host an indexer for this unless I really have to. We have public ones both for mainnet, for all Algorand networks, and for Voy by Urtho in via Nodly. I'd probably figure something out if that were not an option. But for now, there's no need to include rolling out a reliable indexer infrastructure for this project at this time. However, as I note, there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do that cannot be easily got via vanilla indexers, and that is why, by the way, when I proposed that the stretch goals be split out of this project, I had not even thought about putting forward a proposal yet. So it wasn't self-serving. But yeah, so for all of the custom stuff that you can't get out of a vanilla indexer, you need to somehow make some kind of custom data pipeline that builds up this data for you and is ready to serve quickly. So that would be the stretch goal. I think the cost of that would probably be a medium VM, so maybe 30 to 50 bucks a month. And then the other cost that I admit I'm kind of skittish around in the DD doc, but it's also there, is that the front end can run either optimally or slightly less optimally. The slightly less optimally is basically free. You can put it on Cloudflare. It will happily serve 1 billion pages a month, but it will not server-side render them. This affects performance a little bit because you don't get the page like ready-made, and it also affects search engine optimization. So at least at the beginning, I'm gonna see what the costs are. If with a like optimal SEO, like full front end, and see how it goes. It will also scale according to the costs will scale according to use as well. So that isn't something I know, but it's also a cost that can be turned to zero overnight if needed.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, all of that makes sense. I would only double check with Ortho with regards to using Algonode's deployed infrastructure, just because the spike might require him to take some considerations into that. But other than that, I think there's a clear path forward. So no real objections from my end.
I will do.
Yeah, Chris just made this comment. This is Algo 101 here, but yeah, do we view this proposal as like a public good and service? And maybe we intend to continually fund as it develops? Or is this proposal kind of like the open source solution to start off, right? Because this is all open source, I believe, and you know, people can build off that. I know, yeah, continuing funds has been an issue, right, over time, so. just how I'm trying to view it, I guess, is it the public good or is it the start for others to build upon?
Personally, because this has a recurring expense, I would be at least semi-open to finding things that would eventually at least cover operating costs, either donation boxes or just running mild non-intrusive ads as my two solutions, considering what's been done on the Ethereum space with regards to this.
D13.
So if the cost of operating this is low enough to the less than $100 a month, I'm not gonna keep asking for more funds. I think it is entirely feasible for it to stay under that budget and even half of that. And also, you can try to monetize a block explorer. You could try to do ads. You can try to do like custom data APIs and stuff. But the effort you're gonna put in to like billing and account creation and sales and all of that will not really pay off unless you have scale. So it does work in Ethereum. I doubt it would even work in Algorand. I think Harsh of Algoscan tried to do something like that. I'm not sure how far along he was, but if you're only gonna make $10 or $20 a month, it's not worth building out the infrastructure and putting in the work to get that much. I'd rather pay it out of pocket, you know what I mean?
Yeah, to echo on that, of course, you would never want to build the infrastructure for this. This would be something that you would probably offload to like a third party. And if scale is reached, and if we eventually do end up using this solution when mainnet comes about, I would probably push for some sort of ad space done through one of those plenty of Web3 AdSense like companies that already exist, so that it's not an extra cost for you. Literally just plug and play, have that done, and at least that brings in the slight revenue that you might need.
I haven't looked into that, but even that comes with some considerations, like what kind of ads are you going to serve? Is it going to be legitimate ads, or is it going to be like Google ads, which we all know if we've Googled like a wallet, the first three are always going to be scams. So yeah, let's get to mainnet, let's get to scale, and I'm open to figuring out something to monetize this to make it partly self-sustainable or fully self-sustainable, assuming it can be done, yeah, safely and fairly easily.
I agree.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Next, IRL.
Hello, give me just a second to pick the right drop down here so I can share the final proposal. Okay, let me just check. So I completed and I'm presenting the due diligence and the smart poker integration proposal. It was originally submitted by Zimmerman on September 13th. The request basically is for 10 testnet tokens, basically to utilize testing the capacity of his already existing platform that is on Algorand to Voi. He's interested in bringing it to Voi. He needs some testnet tokens to test it. Originally, I met with him, and on the preliminary evaluations, there were a total of 12 evaluation votes, and there were 11 yeses to 1 no. So there's a lot of support for it. I'm in favor and support this passing and getting it off of our proposal block. All of the bits of the proposal are updated. It is in its final state, and I would move to push it to a vote for the council. I can answer questions. Let's see, who do we have?
Bill and Coop.
I would, yeah, I mean, definitely yes, give them the 10 tokens. I would propose, I mean, I think, and this is a little, I guess, off subject, but that there is like a certain threshold of tokens requested to make it to the meeting, like or even make it to a proposal. Like there should be some group, and if the foundation doesn't want to do it, maybe if it's under a certain amount of tokens, they can just pass it.
I agree, so much so that I wrote and tried to use GitHub to submit a proposal so that we can hand out small amounts of VOI. So I expect your support on that. I think someone's presenting it later on.
All right, cool.
There's another proposal that is specifically about creating a pool for developers that would be like more automated. And my opinion is that thing is the right thing. Yeah, we can give this person 10, but it kind of sucks that we had to go through this whole rigmarole to approve this one when that other process should be the one being used.
I agree. However, we didn't say that he couldn't submit it, and he did submit it, and it's our job to review it. So yeah. I have reviewed this. I'm in support. Billy, what you got?
So the only thing I was going to say is that I think some of this relates to the fact that everybody was rolling around with one VOI when this was the process. At this stage, anyone that's on the council that gets any kind of outreach to say, hey, should I do a proposal, and it's nominal or under 1,000 or whatever, by all means, send them to any of the core members that have already committed to give away all their VOI. And we all have over 100,000 out in just the first week to send around because we're node running. So happy to send people VOI to test things out. I agree with Jay that the other mechanism will be very useful for this body to be able to distribute tokens in an orderly fashion. But I think this is just a byproduct of we were just launching when people were getting stuff into the system. So I will personally pay the 10 VOI if there's an issue here.
Oh no, we're voting on this, Billy.
So your hand is still raised, but no questions, right? No.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any more? Okay. If not, thank you, IRL. And second to last, Wilder will be reviewing streamlined allocation of testnet VOI for dev. So IRL's proposal.
Okay. Yes, I am presenting streamlined allocation of testnet VOI for devs. This is a efficient way to bypass the proposal process or a proposal that needs to be voted on by the council and have DD performed on it. There are 2 tiers to this streamlined allocation method. One is awarding 10 testnet VOI, which I'm going to talk about increasing at the end and making a modification to the proposal. And the second is a 8-vote consensus to approve 1,000 testnet tokens to a developer. The way that a developer will be identified, which was a raised concern, will be mainly through Discord, but also GitHub as well to prove that they do have developer intent, or if they want to share what they are trying to build, that'll be the primary place. So I'm just keeping up here. For the scalability of the proposal, 5 votes for 10 to 100 tokens, I think, is easy to get. We're currently doing speedy proposals right now in the interim to get things to pass, and we're reaching 5 somewhat regularly. 7 for 1,000 tokens can be difficult to reach if the council does decrease in members. So this isn't part of the current proposal to assign it a percentage of council members, but it was a raised concern, and I think this current proposal addresses the problem with the current size we have, considering I think we've lost 2, I think we're still at 20 members within our first week. For the voting mechanism, it'll be handled on Discord, what we're all familiar with. Developers applying for this will apply through Discord primarily. They can use Google Docs if we find Discord's getting too cluttered with these requests, but it will be a dedicated channel. Like I said before, council members are going to be voting with emotes. So very simple and very quick voting, no comments needed. For the tracking and the accountability of this, the core council will be the ones distributing, or the core team will be the ones handling the tokens, not the council themselves. So the final step will be the actual core member saying, yes, I'm going to send the tokens to this person. Not that they're going to step in and stop sending the tokens, but they will be managing the wallets and handling the security. The user data collected is going to be GitHub or Discord information. It won't be KYC, it won't be personal details like that to apply for this. You can anonymously apply for these types of developer funds. I did do a Q&A, and I took a lot of the questions raised in the from the first vote. I did get them answered with Benedict for this, even though IRL made the proposal. I wanted someone from the core team to represent an answer. There were a lot of great answers, and I think the one thing that I wanted to touch on specifically is changing 10 tokens up to 100 tokens or up to 100 tokens. It was a common concern that 10 tokens for the first stage might not sort of capture the full net of base level dev work, and that should be the tier before it goes to 1,000 with 7 votes. So first, I'd like to see if anybody has any concerns before I assert that the proposal should be modified to change from 10 to 100 for the first tier with 5 votes. If anybody could raise a hand if they do have a concern or think this is a bad idea. Awesome. Thank you, Shelley. Please.
Hey, Wilder. I'm thinking that when they request the tokens, they should specify, specify 10 or 100 or 1,000.
That is exactly it. It's the idea that they can request up to 100 for those first 5 votes to pass, and if they want to go past 100 and let's say 500 tokens or 1,000, then you require the 7 vote consensus. Or sorry, it's 8 votes. The wording says more than 7, so it is currently 8 votes, but that's still under 50% of the current committee. Yeah, Michael?
Can we just pick a number? I guess if it were me, I'd pick a number, maybe 1,000, and just sort of bucket these types of proposals, anything under something like a Discord poker thing, anything under 1,000, just sort of you sort of go to this other proposal bucket, and that'll be it. And then there's no need to stagger different levels of votes for different. I feel 1,000 is not a lot. I guess it's just my sort of looking on it. I don't think we need to do the 5-7 vote thing. I think it's just there's a new bucket, 1,000 tokens, whatever, and just go from there.
I definitely think that's valid and would expedite. I would want to, if we're going to push that into the proposal, I don't think we can vote on that immediately, but I do think that makes sense. I will say when this proposal was made, I don't think we understood, and like Bill brought up today, the ability to get testnet tokens, I think, is a lot easier than we were expecting now. Like the faucet, for example, is giving out 40 currently or 30. So I don't know if that is a appropriate thing to do in a meeting like this, or we can all just say we approve moving to a 5-vote consensus or something along those lines. Is that more what you were getting at, to take that 7 threshold to a lower point?
Yeah, and I feel like it's sort of, I look at this as almost like a small projects kind of bucket, just your kind of, mess around and find out kind of projects. You just pick a number, I don't know why I picked 1,000, but let's say it's 1,000, let's say it's 5, whatever. Just kind of pick a number, and we just sort of decide like, okay, like that's one of those projects that falls into that bucket, or maybe it's because that's what they propose, right? Like maybe they have this big project, but they only have, like they only need 3,000 tokens. It's all they're asking for, right? And so just sort of bucket it that way. I guess that's how I look at it, So like 1,000 is not a lot. It's not. So, and it's made up money. So I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. IRL, could you comment, please?
Yeah, hi. So I originally, when I made this proposal, and I don't know, for whatever reason, it's not letting me link the actual proposal in the chat. I see Chris linked something, but it's not letting me link it. Anyhow, I think that and I put in the proposal that I think having small flat amounts is key to protect it from being gamed. I also think that 10 is a lot of transactions, and that the council should not get in the habit of sending thousands of testnet Voy to people. So for 10 Voy, you can run something ridiculous transaction-wise. It's in the original proposal. I do understand that second tier, and in the proposal that I wrote, and I didn't have an opportunity to discuss it, and I do think on the process side, it should be reviewed with the proposal prior to being presented, like moving forward. Just I felt a little caught off guard, I guess. But that an additional 1,000 could be requested accompanying an actual proposal, so that while you wait for us to hear your formal proposal, you can continue your testing. Like I said, I am just a little bit leery of handing people money or testnet tokens. So I think a second tier is great if you guys want to do 1,000, but it accompany a proposal. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I think it's working. The testing looks good. We're going to keep testing it and see if we can build something out, and here's our proposal. It's kind of a quick access to a little bit. But with that being said, like the faucet wasn't a thing yet. So I think that that's just indicative of how long it takes to get these off of our desk. And, I submitted this. I don't have the date of when I submitted it, but it was, I would say probably about a month ago. And yeah, I haven't talked to anybody about it or, so just as a comment for you guys, I am happy to make changes, but I also don't want to lose the original intent of why I wrote it.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely made the decision to talk to the core team instead of going to IRL about it, because I thought they were the responsible party for it, or it would be their proposal to sort of deal with after that point. So my bad. I'll definitely include you in the future and going forward for this. To give pushback for the 10 Voy, the very common critique in the comments from the first wave, everybody was saying, I think 10 is too low. A lot of people were not everybody, but the common critique was that 10 was too low, or there should be an easier way to get your hands on more than 10 tokens. So I think that's why we're looking to change that initial criteria. When it comes to the 1,000 Voy, I do agree that 1,000 Voy is quite a bit, but considering the statements even made in this meeting, it seems like 1,000 Voy is a lot more accessible than it used to be. So just to keep this concise and maybe cap the presentation, I think I'm going to talk to IRL directly. We're going to make some small amendments to the proposal around the numbers and the exact amount for consensus. And then without having to come to another meeting, we'll ask for a vote to yay or nay. Do you want this to pass?
Thanks, Wilder. That sounds like a good plan. And to conclude, we have IRL and Wilder again.
Wilder, are you going to share your screen, or do you? I don't think we both can at the same time.
Yes, I can share my screen again. Give me one moment here. Okay, I believe we're all, everyone can see that now?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you want me to take the lead on this, IRL, or would you like to start?
I think you can probably go over the presentation document that you put together for us. I will say that Wilder and I, that's hard to say, Wilder and I, sorry, did meet with Cody, and we reviewed all of the evaluations, stage 1 evaluations for this, as well as addressing additional concerns that came up in the Discord. I was trying to just give you a quick summary on the votes for that first, before he goes into more detail. So the original proposal, which has been updated, and there's an updated copy available for people to view, received 15 votes originally, 13 of which were yeses and 2 of which were no. So overall, there seems to be a lot of support. I can say that I am in favor of passing the proposal in its current form. And yeah, Wilder's going to go into a little bit more detail about some of those key concerns that have been addressed.
Awesome. So the like IRL said, the proposal was modified, and a lot of the comments that were shared in Discord made it into the proposal itself, as well as links to direct documents where you can track KPIs and other things. But I'll speak about that coming up. So for the 100 million tokens that are requested, 80 million are going to non-technical bounties, and 20 million are going to ambassadors, which influencers is another term for an ambassador, from my understanding, but these are what I'd call figureheads, or people who are already who have already proven themselves to have a impact in social media. The goal of this is to increase community engagement with Voy and have a strong social media presence. The problem is right now that there is a very low amount of community engagement compared to other chains, and there is not a diversity in voices discussing Voy online, particularly off of social media on YouTube and other educational sources. The solution is to incentivize creation of new content, as well as incentivizing the continuous engagement with the Voy community from ambassadors. So that's where the split between non-technical bounties, which is the 80 million, which is going towards the creation of educational material, is separated from the 20 million that's going towards ambassadors or influencers who are keeping that conversation active online. So heavily incentivizing the education portion of it, which I feel is an important distinction and was a common concern, and I think is where we're going to be able to see a lot of the trackable KPIs as this is rolled out. The expected outcomes is of course the empowerment of the Voy community. We need to shout who we are. There's a lot of support in just passing this, because we do need marketing, and the plan may not be have every detail in it, but there's an agreement that we need some form of a marketing system in place. This is definitely going to drive new users to Voy and strengthens Voy's position in the blockchain scene. The measures of success that we discussed with Cody were tracking the increase in community engagement across social media, the growth of the social media presence, whether it's followers or engagements on tweets, videos, educational content, and the number of new users that are interacting with Voy and just tracking the growth of the ecosystem. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that impact this, but part of it is going to be attributed to marketing. Cody goes into a little more detail into tracking KPIs and how you can say this program resulted in this type of an impact. And I'll direct you at the end of this presentation to where you can see those specific Excel spreadsheets. The ambassador management, which to answer a concern, this is not a payment just for existing. This is a payment if you're actually contributing to conversation, just like us in the committee are getting compensated for contributing to these meetings. That's how the ambassador incentivization works. You need to participate to be incentivized, not just putting your name in a hat. It doesn't get you the rewards. Let me just keep up here. I've got 2 documents on the go. So Cody is going to be taking charge with this. He's going to be leading the initiative, but it is the Voy Foundation themselves who's going to be overseeing this and helping to ensure its success. I do think that the 100 million is a great starting point and makes sense as far as an amount, especially the way it's distributed between education versus influencers. I think in the testnet, we should especially be incentivizing educational material over showing people Voy, because they'll come to Voy, they'll see some great things, but they won't be able to learn enough in my mind without having to go to, for example, Elgrand developer docs, which I'm continuously linking people to. So I really see a value just from the educational standpoint to begin with. And also the ability for anybody to do this. It's not just influencers. The criteria is, are you able to make high quality content? And that's how you can win some of these bounties in the 80 million side of this proposal. As I said, I strongly do recommend this. Cody did go into some Q&A where he was able to address the KPIs and the way he was tracking it and to be accountable for it. I think he did a good job of that. I'm going to have some trouble opening up these two spreadsheets here, but anybody on the committee, I encourage you to go in and read the non-technical bounties as well as the Ambassador Awards Google Sheet. Maybe you can see the previews right now, but he does have a detailed system tracking users, the amounts, the bounties, what he's looking for, separated by different categories, and there's definitely a plan in place here. So I've talked a lot. I'll turn it over to IRL to maybe field some questions, and I'm happy to answer as well.
Any questions? Or let's say kudos to Cody for making that information really easy to find. He went back and forth in the Discord, and a lot of what Wilder and I did was really just try to kind of get that all in the proposal. So it was a complete piece and a complete thought. And as I said, I feel good pushing this one towards the vote as well.
Mariano, please.
Yeah, sorry. It's just a more general logistics question. From these proposals, after going over the due diligence, the yay and nay votes, are they done through a similar process as the initial evaluations, just through a form in the drive, or how does that work? Has that been finalized?
I know that there was a new evaluation.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know Scotty did the evaluation form, I think, the second one. And it's just like, do you think it's a pass? It is a Google form though.
Okay. Gotcha. Perfect. Then I'll check those.
Everything that passes today, I'm going to be creating forms for and emailing them out as a reminder for Tad.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Scotty.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks both. All right. So those are all of the DD presentations. Did someone raise their hand? Yes. Wilder.
I did prepare a DD document for the Discord tipping bot.
Mhm.
If I am able to present that today, the proposal doesn't need any edits.
Sorry, what was the very last thing you said? The proposal what?
The proposal doesn't need any edits. So what I'm presenting today, like Scotty was saying, could be voted on if we have time.
Okay. Do you want to go for it quickly?
Yeah, great. I'll one moment. Okay. This one is something that I think a lot of us are familiar with. Anyone who's used the faucet, that's one piece of the Algo League's Discord bot. But this proposal itself goes into actually being able to send Voy, the Voy native asset or tokens on Voy between wallets through Discord commands. So the problem is there's a lack of user-friendly ways to engage with the tokens. A wallet is great, but I find myself having trouble if I want to send tokens to and from other wallets compared to Para or other easier to use examples that I have. And nothing as simple as just Discord commands and things like that. The solution is to be able to assign custodial wallets to users through their Discord username to allow them to have tokens deposited into an address or to send tokens to and from. To be clear, when I say address, this is a centralized solution. That was a large concern raised. This is being managed by one wallet, which will handle all the tokens coming in and out. That will be the way that they ensure a low cost for this proposal, as well as the ability to, just with the Discord username, be able to interact with the bot. I just wanted to make that very clear. When a new user does interact with this bot, they're not making a new wallet, but they do need to have a wallet to be able to claim their reward. So the end of a user using this Discord tipping bot does have them creating a Voy wallet, but it's not the first step. It's the last step in this case. The qualifications. EasyTiger has had success with this bot in over 101 servers with quality uptime, over 95%, but I did not get into a specific percentage for uptime. The positives is the ease of use. This is a very basic tool which will allow almost every user in Voy who are generally being focused into Discord right now to easily be able to interact with their tokens and share tokens between members. One of the concerns of this, though, is the ability for users to send unwanted tokens to your address, and the idea of getting a lot of dust in a custodial wallet or getting a lot of spam notifications because you've been dropped tokens. And I'm going to address that at the end. The benefits to something like this, obviously, is getting users engaged with the tokens, giving them ownership of tokens without having to have a technical background. The challenges are definitely the wallet support side of it. How do you help a user after they've used this bot to get into a wallet and something they're comfortable using afterwards, something that they have custody of? Their proposed plan for this is educational material as the wallet scene develops for Voy, and it is included in their proposal Q&A as well. For the sustainability, all the transaction costs are going to be covered by them. They're not asking for any of these tokens to go towards funding any of the on-chain transactions. And they'll also be using a small amount of the tokens they have to give Voy tokens to their existing 101 servers that are already participating. So a little bit of a marketing approach in here. I know there were concerns that this might be part of a marketing proposal, but this is purely focused on giving the utility to the Voy community, and all 101 servers that are currently using this bot will have the ability to flip a switch and interact with Voy. The plan for the rollout and the marketing of this is within 3 weeks of approval. So hopefully we can vote on this in the next couple days. This will be live and functional. As I said before, they're going to be distributing some of the tokens that they have in reward from this, but they'll also be promoting it across their other servers. Sorry, 1 second. The total requested amount for this, as I believe I mentioned before, is 3 million Voy. So this does come in higher than, for example, the QuizBot, which I feel is also a good Discord engagement tool. But I feel there is a level of utility here that exceeds that, as well as the amount of time put in more to sustain and to stay up to date over the 3 to 6 month period justifies the 3 million tokens requested. That being said, this is not an open source solution, so keep that in mind. This will not be something that will be available to the community, nor is that included in their proposal. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear, not open sourced. That being said, I do endorse this. I think it's a great value and a great tool to give the Discord community and the Voy community, and the ability to deliver within 3 weeks, I think, is an exciting prospect. I just want to double check here our questions and make sure there's nothing I didn't touch on. The concerns about tagging and opting out of assets. So EasyTiger went into great detail going into how the current system works with @mentions, and the ways that over the next 3 weeks and over the development of the bot, they're going to be allowing you to opt out of certain features of the bot to decrease spam to your Discord account. Things such as, I'm just going to highlight them here on the proposal: the user's preference to opt out of RAIN, to opt out of @mentions, cooldown timers for abusing @mentions, and these are all planned to be done by the end of October. So I think that generally addressed all concerns, but I'm happy for questions if anybody has any. IRL first, please.
I just want to clarify, it sounds like none of those 3 million tokens will be used to distribute through the bot. This is just for them to make Voy compatible with this bot.
I will pull up the direct quote right now, but there was an intention to distribute a small amount of the tokens to the community. I just want to pull up that exact amount. I believe it is in the proposal document. Okay, so there is 11. There's going to be 14. Sorry, 14,000 will be the amount that's going to be distributed over a period of. Let me see, 14 weeks. They'll be distributing 14,000 of these tokens to their participants.
Thanks.
Christopher?
Hey, not so much a question, just I really like this. My server is one of the 101. It gets people excited. And I can see it for kind of impromptu social situations on the server. Like if you, I don't know, do trivia without a bot or something on the fly, it just seems like a really nice way to send tokens around and get people interested. So seems like a real obvious win. My users love it, 100%.
Thank you. Benedict.
Chris Wilder. Yeah, just want to highlight in general that obviously the sort of allocation from proposals will be the VIA assets. Just a general remark for most of the proposals. Just
Yes,
not in particular.
Yeah, I realize the wording doesn't say that, but my understanding is everything that isn't the block rewards proposal is the Voy incentive asset, even to relay runners. Dave, please.
The only catch to that would be any of the proposals for developing, because
Yes, sorry, it's the streamlined allocation. Yes, that is in the actual the network token, so that is definitely something to specify. So there's two different ways.
But my other comment on this is I wouldn't mind seeing an increase in how many could be distributed to, even if it involves increasing the total amount that can be just would be distributed to users, more than the 14,000. Like if we were to make it 3.5 million and do 500,000 to the users, I'm just throwing something out, to make it crazy, especially now that we know how much.
I think that was a common thread in the comments to the proposal, was they felt that there was a marketing side to this, which I completely agree to, but the team's been specific in saying this is a utility proposal for the tool. And if they do have some marketing planned with it, they'll definitely approach Cody, who they'll try to find a way to interact with him. And they're not going to let the amount from this proposal hold them back from trying to share Voy with their communities.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. I agree with that then.
Thank you for your time, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Wilder. Okay, so we are going to move on to the next part of the agenda. I do want to say for anyone that has completed their DD, please post your document 1 in the actual proposal channel, the dedicated proposal channel in Discord, as well as in the due diligence folder in the proposal drive. And I think Benny just linked it right here. So make sure it is accessible in both of those places, please. And then for people who now need to revise their proposal based on these comments, if it wasn't done before, please use the same document. Don't create a second document. You can use suggestions if you want to make it evident, like what changes you've been making. But we want to keep everything in one single document. And when you have a revised version, just repost that in your dedicated channel in Discord. Is that clear? Awesome. Okay, so next we actually want to assign DD for 2 proposals that still require volunteers. One is the token challenge, and the second is the node installer proposal. Is there anyone at this time that is willing to take these up? If not, we do encourage everyone to think about it and put their name right in the proposal tracker, and you would be presenting at the next council meeting. Prim,
The token one.
the token challenge one?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'll put your name here. And do we have anyone for node installer? Okay. So just putting it out there, that one is still up and it's available. So check out the proposal, and please fill in your name in the tracker. Wilder?
I just wanted to mention that I'm very happy to do more proposals, but at this point, I'd love to see what other people do for their due diligence before I continue to do more. So I'm just throwing it out there. If someone's not comfortable doing one on their own, I'm happy to team up with you, maybe for any outstanding other ones. But I'm not going to do any solo ones until everyone has a chance. And I'm very excited to see your due diligence. Thank you.
Can I ask if anyone would be interested in seconding the node installer due diligence? I feel like it's going to require some technical expertise of node running at scale that few people might have. So I feel like I kind of have to, of sorts, be part of that. Anyone else interested in backing up?
Andrew said he can support you, D13.
Yeah, if you need it. I mean, I'm not technical at all. Probably one of the least technical people here. But I mean, I obviously can do any legwork that you might find appropriate. But just to mention, like I said, yeah, I'm not very technical, so I might not be able to have good insight on that.
Prim?
Right. I'm not 100% that I can actually put the time in, but I'll take a look and yeah, thanks.
I'm raising my hand actually for the same reason. I would like to tag team it with someone just to sort of bounce ideas off of. I think Coop is hopefully raising his hand for that reason. So,
yeah, I am, and I'm down to team up with you, Prim.
Thanks, man.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'd like Jay to join you guys.
Are you talking about the node installer or the token challenge? I'm assuming Prim and Coop.
No, the token wars.
Okay.
You think we need is that because you think we need an adult?
The which one?
The token wars.
The token wars?
The token installer?
No,
The
the
node
token
wars.
wars. All right, I guess I'll do it.
Okay, so, all right, so
I can help D13 with a node installer. I don't have that much experience at scale installing nodes, but I have done the sort of process before, and I have a general understanding of it, so I can take that on.
Okay, let's start with the token wars challenge. So we have Jay, Prim, and who? Just the two of you. Okay.
That's three of them.
Who's the third person?
Prim, Coop, and Jay, right?
Okay, and okay, and then node installer, we have.
I believe D13, Andrew, and Busen.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, I am again more than happy to help, but if you guys feel like you don't want to dilute your due diligence rewards because I don't bring a lot to the table, I won't be offended. So just let me know if you guys want me on board, and if not, no offense.
Okay.
I don't really care about that too much, to be honest. Let's have a chat after this.
Okay. TD.
Yeah, while we're on this topic, I don't know if we nailed this down for the Humble DeFi proposal. Who's going to be reviewing that? I know me and Lobo casually were talking about it, but not sure if anyone else volunteered.
It looks like TD and Lobo volunteered.
Yep.
Okay.
So not sure based on the timeline if we want to make that official now or if we're still waiting.
Let's etch it into stone.
Coming for you, Shaman. You thought Lobo was difficult.
I'm ready for it. Let's go. Just don't ask me any technical questions. I'll have to get Shelly involved.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks so much, everyone, for volunteering. We have a number of evaluations that are outstanding, meaning we have not yet reached a majority of people who have voted on them. They are listed here. So if you can please take time to review the proposals and fill out the evaluation after this call or sometime this week, we would appreciate that. We can kind of take this last topic and move it on to like the member floor. We want to discuss kind of the participation in evaluation. It's been a little less than what we would be happy with, or what we would expect, and we kind of want to hear from everyone here if we're okay starting off with this topic, like what the roadblocks are to completing this. I think one of them from the last meeting was like communication around the evaluation forms. They're sometimes posted in Discord, sometimes in email, not in both places. So we have tried to resolve that point, but what are the challenges people are finding when it comes to filling out these forms, if any? TD, I don't know if you're handed. TD and Andrew.
Sorry, didn't want to raise my hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not really having too many difficulties or anything like that, but I'm just going to try and maybe think of like where I found my biggest struggles. And for me, it's probably just in terms of, is there like a consistent schedule, I guess? So like say every, 2 times a month, like every other week, there is a set of, proposals to evaluate, or is this more of like a kind of as they flow in, once we get a few, we'll send them out? I think that's like the biggest thing for me is sometimes I just randomly check, but I don't know if there's actually like a schedule of like, okay, normally, the first of every month, or whatever. I don't know if anyone else can relate with that, but that would be
It's supposed to be every Friday, Andrew. So I'm just getting started, but Scotty is both emailing them every Friday and even sending reminders.
Big shout out to Scotty too, because that's what I've been using. So I appreciate that. I mean, that's really easy. I don't want to have him be, have that responsibility to check in on all this, but it does, it definitely helps. So.
Okay. D13, IRL, and then Lobo.
One thing I'd consider for the forms would be to make all of the answers optional. I think we're all kind of adults here and we're going to do the proper job, but sometimes there might be a question about technical aspects that do not apply to the proposal, or you might just not really be able to assess what the answer is somewhere, and you need to leave it blank and explain in the comments. So having to answer every single one, I think, is not necessarily working to the most optimally, because if you then average out a column, it might just not be reflective of the reality.
Lobo.
First of all, thanks for the comments. I honestly would like to hear like what the people feel about that didn't vote. So I called some out in Discord. So I would like to hear what their problems were. If they can like say what would help them, and if they can maybe improve. And if they can't, I honestly would like to vote them off. I mean, bit rough maybe, but I think like if you, so just to clarify, like extreme cases at the moment. Like I looked at the chart and there were like multiple people that almost didn't vote at all. So I only talk about like these special cases.
IRL.
Sorry. Yeah, I was kind of like just what Lobo said. I would like to hear from. I'm assuming that the proposal and bounty status tracker, evaluation completion tracker tab is accurate, and if it is, then yeah, I would definitely like to hear from Ibu and Yayo. I know I saw Ibu in the meeting, because it looks like currently those are the only two who have not completed any evaluations according to that tracker. So that's what I would like to hear.
I think I did like 2 today. It may have been like it wasn't the first round. It was like the second round. It was for the test that D13 wants to do, the transaction test, and it was one other. Honestly, can't remember. Seemed fine to me. Oh yeah, it was shit. My computer's booting back up, so I had to get on my phone. I'll tell you in a second, though.
Yeah, they were just today though. So yesterday this tracker is reflecting your votes accurately or lack of votes. I'm assuming. Yayo was the only other one I saw on that spreadsheet, anyways. That had no evaluation. And I'm with Lobo. I would probably vote to remove people who aren't actively participating. It sounds like Ibu's trying to get a handle on it, though. I don't know if Yayo's here.
Yeah. Also, too, I think that like at some point we should try to establish some sort of criteria, or certain thresholds. Like if you don't meet 70% of the votes, or 85% of the meetings, or something like that, I think that would be good. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be different cases, and people can bring up motions to vote people off if they think, otherwise, even if they're meeting the standards, obviously people could still be voted off. But I do think just to be a little fair to some of the people, I know there was a lot of confusion early on. Things are kind of just coming together. I don't know if it's time to vote people off or not, but I definitely think that it is something that we should think about. Especially moving forward from these meetings. I think if we see a drop in participation, or no participation at all, it's the best thing to do. So
Prim. You're muted.
I guess I'll just quickly explain my own bullshit, because I am sort of like, I look at Ibu and I look at Yayo. I'm like, oh, I think I'm like the third most read here, although I don't really know who Stuart is. Like me personally, like a lot of the first like big batch of proposals, I was like still studying for the CPA, and I just had my own shit going on. But as you sort of like look down, like tell I'm like starting to be active, and so like I don't know, how that is for like other people as far as just like stuff that like comes up. But I guess just like to be mindful of that. The other thing I would say is like I don't particularly love the process, to be honest. Like I don't think it like makes sense to have like every person like required to vote on like every single proposal. I don't have a better solution, frankly. But I remember when I learned that, I was like, oh, we have to vote, like do the evaluation forms for like all of these. I was like, oh, that's sort of surprising. I don't really know. that's just sort of like my thoughts on it, I guess. Also, while I'm in here, column Q, which is me, has a Y in the 21 row, and there's like no proposal there. I think that's supposed to be, I just out of curiosity, or just out of like making this quick, from like 17 to 20, I did the network stress test, the node metrics test, and the relay nodes. I actually did not do the node installer, and that's showing as a yes. So if that could just sort of be cleaned up, that would be good. So.
Okay, I think Scotty is going to help us clean it up later. Jay.
I want to defend a little bit having everyone review things. I think that from the perspective of this being just the test net, I can understand why you'd think it's not really that important to evaluate them. But I feel like what we're really doing, yes, we're running the test net, but I feel like we're trying to teach ourselves how to do this for the real network when the real network comes. And I like to think about how I was upset about how Algorand ran things. And everything that we're doing here, I say, okay, well, I want to do things that I wish Algorand had done way back when. And when I look at their like governance transparency report about how they spent money on so many different projects that seemed like complete trash, with it seemed to have very little oversight on them, like that's what motivates me to try to do a good job here. And so anyways, that's where I'm coming from. And it does feel like, yes, we're going through a whole bunch of hoops for the test net, but it's just about training for when someone comes in and they want 120 real actual VOI, that we have to have these standards in place.
Because it's testnet, I'm kind of inclined to just say yes to everything. So that's why, especially in these early weeks where there's not actually, in my opinion, there's not many like compelling proposals. A lot of it is just like boilerplate stuff that I would expect kind of from any blockchain starting up. Like you could just say 10 out of 10 for everything for me. Like I just want, because I don't see a reason to say no. Might as well let people try it. There's nothing at stake. Not really anything at stake besides just sending out too many tokens. So yeah, that's why I guess, you know, if I were to explain why I wasn't too involved with the process so far, that'll be it. Just like, let's let anyone try anything. Like, what's wrong with it? To elaborate, even though no one asked, like, this is supposed to be an open blockchain, so we shouldn't have too much of a heavy hand on what people want to test.
Disagreeing, is anyone gonna take the floor, or?
I have my hand up. I just was waiting to be called on. I don't know. I know a couple other people do too.
Sorry, I was on mute, but please go ahead because we only have a few minutes left.
Okay, so this is Ira. If you're listening. Yeah, so I think the whole job of the council and what people have committed to doing is reviewing the proposals submitted. So, you know, our job is to receive the proposals, review them, and either pass or reject them. So I think it could be problematic if people don't want to look at evaluate proposals. Like that's the whole gig, in my opinion. And I really support Jay's sentiment that, you know, it is rocky, and if the process is bad, we need to fix the process, but the proposals need to go through the process, which is one of the reasons why I offered to be the reviewer on the 10 boy one and followed up with submitting my own proposal because I found it so problematic. Not saying I think it should pass, but we shouldn't have to deal with stuff like that, which is why I submitted a proposal for it. So for me, it's a little disheartening to hear people say, like, I just don't care, or it didn't seem interesting enough to me, when like that's kind of what early stage blockchain grants are, right? So just wanted to push back a little bit on that. I do think that people should be looking at the majority of proposals. And I know there's a lot. I totally get if one slips through the cracks, but if you're on the council, that's like your job in my, you know, that's how I'm seeing it anyway. So
I just want to say I didn't say that I didn't care or wasn't important enough.
not what it wasn't exciting to you. I don't, it's recorded.
I didn't
you
say
said,
that.
but do you want to reiterate what you said then?
No, the record's going to be on YouTube.
Okay.
Ost, Shelley, then Coop.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to say about this is this kind of, I think it might be a little, like for me, it seems a little backwards. Like today we had all these due diligence presentations on all these things that I've already evaluated. And I'm like, okay, well, I think for me, I would have loved it if we would have had these due diligence presentations before the evaluations, because now I'm thinking about my evaluation said, okay, maybe I would have changed how I voted. So looking at these next ones coming up, it's like, okay, we're supposed to evaluate them. And then I guess we'll have due diligence after the fact. And that just seems like a little backward to me. So it's like, I have no problem looking at all of them. And we've all, kind of done our own research on them. But the due diligence and the discussion here, I think is a good, part that should come before we are voting yes or no. Because it's like, okay, am I going to, on some of mine, I'd like to go back and change my votes, but too late now, I guess. So anyways, that's just kind of my comment on the system, that maybe we could look at adjusting that.
Sorry, Shelley, then Coop.
Hello. So I just wanted to comment on, I guess, my change in how I evaluate the proposals. Initially, I had like the first set of proposals. There were like 12 of them, and I was really busy, like actually reading all the proposals and coming up with the evaluation. And what I noticed working on the DD for the Block Explorer is that my comments, I guess the written part of the evaluation wasn't a lot of words, but I guess it summed up what my sentiment was. But after doing the DD and reading all of the comments from everyone, I think I was pretty serious about it before, but I take it pretty seriously. So it's pretty. It's mostly, especially the initial proposal, it's mostly based on what's written, and I have a workflow where I read the whole thing and I actually make comments, and I don't expect any changes, but you just have to work with what you have in front of you and do your best at evaluating, and then the hard work is done. If it passes, it gets. The hard work is done when someone has to do the DD and meet with the proposer and answer like the ambiguous parts. So I just want to say that if you read all the responses from all of the other council members, you would probably take the evaluation seriously. So it seems like people are putting a lot of thought into it. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Shelley. Coop.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I liked what Jay said about this kind of being a training ground, and what Austin was talking about. I think that was sort of how I was approaching this at first, where this was just like, okay, I accept that this should go to further evaluation, and then I like the idea that we evaluate after there's been some work on it. But I understand that also the point of these evaluations is for questions to be arrived, and all that. It does feel like we're kind of belaboring things, and there's a lot of different steps, and it's inefficient and stuff like that. But like Prim, I don't really necessarily have a better solution. And I'll just say personally, for me, I mean, I'm definitely not an example of the due diligence king. I don't think that people that are paying attention would accuse me of being the king of due diligence here, or an example of how this is supposed to be done. But I like what Jay said, and that's framing that, and I need to probably increase it myself. But I will say, if it continues for me to be falling behind constantly, and I'm in a position where I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough, then I would vote myself off. So I want to see if I can do this work, and if I continue to be playing catch up and doing things like, okay, I think that I would just remove myself.
We have a few more, D13, Prim, and Bill. I do want to keep a few minutes open for voting on our next meeting.
So most of the proposals did get to the due diligence phase. One that didn't, I think, was problematic both in the nature. I'm referring to Ludo's CLAMM, which asked for a USDC or Euro stablecoins, and also as an AMM for concentrated liquidity at this stage. It was surfaced in a lot of the comments that it's not really something we need right now. I will reiterate that figuring this stuff out as a testnet committee and the process is going to be massively helpful for the mainnet committee, even if it's not comprised of the same individuals, and trying to approach this as critically as possible and figure it out as we go along is part of it. Maybe the actual structure could change, but like one example could be that there could be different evaluation teams. But then we would have to organize that fairly well, because you would want at least a couple of technical people who'd be able to examine the technical aspects of it each time. Maybe some DeFi people as well for proposals that will have to do with that kind of sector. And I'm also okay with evaluating. The first evaluation doesn't really take that much time, and it does provide valuable feedback into the DD stage. That's all I had.
And to conclude, Bill. Oh, you're muted.
Of course I am. All I wanted to add is that the goal of the process is to, one, be mindful of all of your time. So have an initial evaluation of, should we even be spending time on this? Is this something that we even care about, up or down? And then provide you with enough context that when due diligence is done and presented to you, you can effectively vote on the submission. So it's not perfect. It's not exactly where we want it to be. We're going to tweak as it works best for this group. And to me, I think it's functioned quite well at a very early stage. So I appreciate people putting in the time, and I think that we're getting very thoughtful submissions and good work's being done to scrutinize them and then tweak them in a manner that people think that it's fair and well balanced.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, so that concludes most of our meeting today. We're going to send around a poll, and it's going to be about if we want to meet weekly for a 1 hour period or bi-monthly, as we have been for a 2 hour period. So be on the lookout for that. Probably it will be happening over email. In the last few minutes, Chris, do you have anything that you want to conclude with? Benny, Bill?
I think
Sure, I have tons and tons to say, but I will let the other guys talk right now because I don't feel the best and my internet connection is horrible. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, no, I think Bill kind of already quite nicely concluded that part of the meeting. I think, yeah, just all I really say is just keep an eye out on your inboxes, and just if you are on Discord, keep an eye on the channels just to keep up to date with things, really.
The only thing that I would add, and I've heard it a few times in the meeting, and a lot of people are doing great work, but one of the newer jobs that's been taken on has been Scotty, and I think it's already proving up to have a lot of value. And I would hope that somebody would carry a laboring oar to calibrate the value of that time and do a proposal to compensate the position.
Agreed. Scotty has been doing a ton of work for us on the back end. All right. And if there's no concluding remarks, then thank you so much, everyone, especially everyone that did a DD presentation today. They were awesome. And also great job for sticking on time. And be on the lookout in the email for a vote on our next meeting time. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Have a great
Bye.
week as well.